In John 17:5, in Jesus' high priestly prayer to the Father, Jesus says, Father, glorify me together with yourself. Parasa auto, with yourself. With the glory I shared with you before the world was. So are you aware that according to the grammar of this text that Jesus instructs, because of imperative verb there, but he instructs the Father to share glory with him, and it was that glory that he shared before time.
Okay, thanks. That's if I wasn't in the church, I'd say the word that starts with an H. What of a statement. Jesus instructing God. What a statement. No. Again, Jesus, servant of God. Glorified. Jesus Christ says, the Father has glorified me, and I glorified it. Yes, the Father glorified Jesus Christ. He glorified Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Lot, Jonah, Noah, and all the prophets of God were glorified by God and sent by God. Doesn't mean that they're God. It means that he was glorified. God, prophets are special people chosen by God that had to be glorified and anointed by God to do the job that they did. They were given the power of miracle and prophecy. Why? Were they, LeBron James? Were they basketball players? What were they? They were prophets and representatives of God. They each were given that glory. So we see no problem with that. I see no problem with that verse. Jesus glorified, God glorified all his prophets. He glorified Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the final and beloved prophet of God, who came and brought the absolute truth, who died establishing the oneness of God, and Jesus Christ, may the peace and blessings of God be upon him, spoke of this final to prophet to come. He said, I must go, for if I do not go, he that comes after me shall not come. He shall be known the Spirit of truth, the comfort of the Paraclete, who will give you all this stuff like that. He shall guide you into all light and truth. And the word used when it says speak, when Jesus said he shall speak unto you, or it shall remain with you forever, the word, if he can correct me, is akuo. The word akuo comes from where you get the word acoustics, which is how sound travels. I have never heard a ghost speak where you can hear him and where all of us can listen to the Spirit at the same time. Have you? The only person that the word akuo would apply to would be a human being extracting or emitting sound from his mouth. And he shall abide with you forever. 6 million Muslims have memorized the Quran from beginning to end.
Okay. Turn John 8:24, 28, 8:58, John 13:19, John 18:5, 6, and 8. Jesus claimed to be the ego eimi, no supplied predicate, just ego eimi, in which prompted the Jews to want to kill him. So in light of Yahweh's assertion that he is the ego eimi in Deuteronomy 32:39 and Isaiah 41:4 and other passages, and in light of the verbal contrast between Abraham's origination, spring into existence, and Jesus' assertion of pre-existence, I am, can you explain to us, sir, exegetically in that context, and contextually why Jesus' claim to be the ego eimi was not a claim of absolute deity?
Okay. Jesus claimed to be ego eimi, claim of absolute deity. Again, Jesus Christ never claimed to be God. If he's going to go that far to say like that, ego eimi, and all these things that he's talking about, why not just come out and say it, I am God? If you are God, what do you have to fear? Pain? What do you have to fear? In John 1:1, even, and we'll go to John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. That was written 100 years after Jesus Christ left the earth. Not by John, but I told you before, taken by a man named Philo Judaeus. If John had meant that Jesus Christ is God, without a shadow of doubt, why didn't he write? Remember, it's 100 years after. What did he have to fear? Did John have to fear death? Did John have to fear death, being a servant of Jesus? What did he have to fear? Didn't he want to martyr himself like the rest did? That they were martyrs in the service of Jesus Christ? What did he have to fear 100 years later when Christianity was established? If he meant that Jesus Christ was God, he would have said, in the beginning was Jesus, and Jesus was God. In the beginning was Jesus, and Jesus was God, and Jesus is God. What did he have to fear in saying it right out? But that's not what John meant. Nor was it taken from, because if John wanted to say that, he would have said it. What did he have to fear? He meant exactly the opposite of that. And it's not taken from Christianity. or from Judaism or the oneness of God is taken from a polytheistic religion called what the Greeks believed in poly worship and in thinking of many gods. Not taken from Christianity, not taken from the oneness of God, taken from Greek mythology, philosophy, and Greek philosophical thought. But they tried to explain God. God made it very simple. I am one. Simplest number that God could ever choose for a human being. The number one, he said, I am one. And Greeks tried to break him down into three pieces.
Okay, Sadiq, now you have the opportunity to ask Edward questions. Your first question.
Okay, on the fly. I want to ask my friend Ed, who I'm going to show the finest place where you can get fresh mozzarella cheese, hopefully after this. Can God create another God? Seeing that God had no beginning and no end, nor was God created. Like the Quran said, he did not beget, nor was he begotten. And God was not created, and God had no beginning or end. He always was. My question to him is, can God create another God that is equal to him? The Bible says that Jesus is the Son of God. Son indicates a son, my son, was made through sometimes that some contact and nice times between me and my wife, and so my son was made and created. So my question is, can God create another God equal unto him?
The answer is no, and I think that shows everyone a misrepresentation of actually how Jesus Christ, the eternal Word, emptied himself. Paul makes that clear, and again, Philippians 2:6, which has not been addressed tonight, morphe theo huparkon, always existing as God. You can deny the text if you would like, but it's still there, always existing as God. He emptied himself by taking the nature of a servant. So the only thing that was created was his humanity on our behalf, on the behalf of his people, on the behalf of his sheep. So can God make another God? Well, that's a no-sense question, because of course he can't. Jesus Christ, that assumes Unitarianism again, but it assumes that Jesus Christ was created. That is not the Christian view, sir. Jesus was the eternal Word, as John 1:1 says, Theos hein halagos. God was the Word who became flesh. The only thing that was created was flesh, not his deity.
I'd like to comment on that very quickly. You see, when the verses that he's quoting, again, was not from Jesus Christ. This was the height that made, and you see a progression of the deity of Jesus Christ as the Gospels go along. This was made to Jesus Christ, and Christ was elevated to that, not by the mouth of Jesus as he's quoting you most of what Paul says. Paul, not Jesus. Now, God cannot create another God. And Jesus was not, we established number one, that in the beginning was the Word was with God, that was taken from Philo-Judaeus. And Jesus never said that he was God. So therefore, he says that he's the Son of God. Son of God means created, unique, monogenesis, like a unique Son of God. Or then, if the Christian saying is that they're equal. God cannot create anything equal unto him, because the second he creates it, that thing owes subservience and prayer to the God who created him.
Yeah, again, Philippians 2:6 and the emptying of Christ is not responded to. God doesn't make another God. The only thing that happened was that God eternal became flesh. Now, in the words of Christ, in John 3:13, he says, the Son of Man, ek tu uranu, came from the heavens. The Son of Man, ek tu uranu, came from the heavens. The Son of Man. And there's a whole plethora of passages that deal with the incarnation, and I would just challenge Sadiq and anyone to go through those passages that teach the preexistence of the Son as being sent by the Father. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and Theos hein halagos. He hasn't presented a shred of evidence about authorship. In fact, any scholar that I know of would never come up with a view. I've never even heard that view of any scholar, reputable scholar that I know of. You can quote liberal scholarship, but again, the same liberal scholarship will look at the Quran as ridiculous.